Okay. We were discussing on the last turn cross section. We had started. Okay. And what I had told you that cross section is nothing but probability of interaction. It tells you that how many projectiles have interacted with the target. Okay. And I'm unable to recall what were the points which we discussed, but let me just start. What we were discussing that suppose this is a loaf of bread and there are various slices. Okay. Now suppose that n is the number of particles the number of particles per unit volume. Okay. Then that means if I consider a slice of, let's say, length dx, so therefore in a length element dx, आज काफी सारे लोग हैं और ज्वाइन देर से कर रहे हैं. In a length element dx, the number of particles would be n dx. Now you notice that number of particles per unit volume. In the numerator we have number, that is a dimensionless quantity, while in the denominator we have volume, that means centimeter cube, meter cube. In general, in cross section we talk in terms of centimeter square. Therefore let us say that these are the number of particles in this slice which are uniformly distributed, and number of particles per centimeter cube is n. Now in a length element dx, the number of particles would be n dx, and as you can see that number is in the numerator, centimeter cube is in the denominator, and dx is the length which will be again in centimeter. Therefore basically n dx is number of particles per centimeter square. The dimension will be per centimeter square. The dimension will be of area. Okay, in the denominator. Now consider that you have beam of particles falling per unit area per unit time. beam of particles falling per unit area, per unit time. Okay, this is known by the name flux. This is the number of particles falling per unit area, per unit time. Okay, now what will happen? These number of particles, some of them will interact with the particles which is there or which are there inside this slab of material. Okay, inside this target, this what we call by the name target, and this is what we call by the name projectile. Therefore, we have projectile, we have target, and we are talking about flux, which is nothing but the number of particles falling per unit area, per unit time. Now, this ndx has also got the dimension of area. That means what will happen? Suppose you say that among these beam of particles, a few have interacted with the target particles. That means, suppose if I say that phi I is basically the initial flux, okay, say 1000 particles falling per unit area, per unit time. And then we are on this side at some distance, and here we are seeing that along this direction, how many particles we are getting? Is 990. We are left with 990 particles. That means what has happened, that 10 particles among these 1000 particles, they have got scattered, they have interacted with the target particle and they have got scattered. They are not moving in the forward direction. Okay, we'll say that, okay, 10 particles have interacted with the target material. Is it clear? So therefore, first we talk in terms of the number of particles per unit area, per unit time, falling say along the z direction. Say this is the z direction, and then this is also z direction, where we are measuring that how many particles are left with. Okay, and then we are finding that only we have 990 particles less than, and it will always be less than the initial flux because of particle conservation. Okay, now if the target material is thick, that means if the density of the target material is large, like I am talking about lead, okay, then what will happen? Then this number could be say 980. That means 20 particles have got interacted. That means if the density of the target material is small, the probability of interaction will be small. And if the density of target material is large, then the probability of interaction will be large. Is it clear? That means the number of particles which have got scattered that I am representing by d phi. These are the number of particles which have got scattered. This is proportional to the density of the target material per in the slice of bread of thickness dx, and this will also be proportional to number of incident particles, because see, instead of 1000 particles coming per unit area per unit time, if you have 2000 particles coming per unit area per unit time, if you have 10,000 particles coming per unit area per unit time, then the probability of interaction will increase. Therefore, the probability of interaction will increase because of the density of the target material, as well as probability of interaction will increase with the initial flux. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
So probability will be still remain the same, I think, but the interactions will increase.
and what I am telling you, mind my sentence. I am talking about probability of interaction. Okay. I am talking
Okay.
about probability of interaction. That you are right. That suppose 1000 particles are coming, then the total number of particles should be conserved. 990 plus 10, 980 plus 20, 900 plus 100. That would make 1000, because you cannot. That is from continuity equation. Anna, do you remember continuity equation? Divergence of J is minus del rho by delta T, or in general in the books, divergence of J plus delta rho by delta T is equal to 0. What does it tells you? It tells you that number of particles that is flowing out, what we represented by the J, whether it is particle current density or it is charge current density or whatever you like in thermal physics, you can apply wherever you can apply. This is always true, that the number of particles going out diverge. And what is this? Divergence, diverging out, going out, number of particles going out from some place is equal to what? Is equal to the negative rate of change of density inside this system per unit time. That means number of particles are gradually decreasing with time as the particles are diverging out from this place. This is nothing but continuity equation. And this has got great relevance in physics and everywhere in practical life, that you have to conserve charge. If you say charge conservation, this will be charge density, this will be current density. If you consider a particle conservation, this will be particle density, and this will be the flux of the particles which I am talking about. Therefore, the important point is that you cannot violate this guy, the continuity equation. This is a holy equation that ensures charge conservation, that ensures particle conservation, that ensures fluid conservation, or whatever you will talk about. Therefore, the important point is that number of particles will be conserved, but the probability of interaction, would increase if you are increasing the density of the target material, or the probability of interaction will increase if you are increasing the number of incident particles per unit area per unit time. Okay, number of particles falling per unit area per unit time, and this is particle density in a length element particle density in a length element dx. एक सेकेंड, हाँ अफजाल भाई, क्लास चल रही है, हम क्लास के बाद बात करते हैं। हम क्लास चलिए, क्लास के बाद बात करते हैं। हाँ हेलो, यस। Therefore, now what you can see or realize that this d5 should be a negative quantity because this is the change in flux, and the final flux which have come the slice which I showed here, this number would always be less than this number, and the difference will be a negative quantity because the initial will always be larger than the final because a few particles have got scattered. Therefore, when we combine these two, we write it as d phi is equal to minus sigma n dx phi. d phi is equal to minus sigma n dx into phi, or d phi by phi is equal to sigma n dx. Now you notice that what is the dimension on the left hand side? This is change in flux. That means this is in the numerator we have flux, in the denominator we have flux. That means this is a dimensionless quantity. On the right hand side, that means the quantity should be dimensionless. This is per unit area. That means what should be the dimension of this? This should have dimension of area. Now this proportionality constant, this proportionality constant is known by the name
cross section.
Cross section. Okay. Now you notice that suppose my loaf of bread was small, then I had got another one which was larger, and then I was trying to pass these particles through this loaf of bread by piling up breads along the z direction. Then that means chances of interaction will keep on increasing as long as we are putting more particles before the projectile. Okay, that means if say I integrate it from phi I to phi f d phi upon phi, this is equal to sigma n 0 to L dx. What does this mean? Physically means that when we are at the front side of this target particle, where the length is 0, what is the flux? Flux is nothing but phi I, the initial flux with which we had started at this door, at the front door, because there was a vacuum here, there was no target material here. Therefore, when there was no material, the initial flux with which we had started, we stick to the same flux even at the front face of the target material. And then just एक second रुको. Okay, now this is the point, that phi I is the initial flux and x is equal to 0 here and x is equal to L here. Okay, now you notice there is important physics if we further solve this expression. This will be log phi f upon phi I, and this will be minus sigma n L. And this will be equal to then phi f is equal to phi I e to the power minus sigma n L. Okay. Now you notice that my length, if length is 0, that means there was no target particle and I was standing here, then always phi I, this is 0, therefore always phi if will be equal to phi I. If there is vacuum all through, then never there will be interaction, and always standing along the z-axis, we will have the same number of particles all the time standing over here. While if the length of the target material becomes infinite, then phi f will become 0. And that means physically that if your target material is infinitely large, then there always exists a chance of the projectile interacting with the target material. Okay, is it clear? Therefore, this cross section is very important to understand. This tells you that how the interaction is taking place. Now in physics, these two are the important basic concepts, but in physics there is an important point, that if you have got a projectile, no matter what is your target material, if the projectile is a proton, if the projectile is an electron, if the projectile is a neutrino, and try to understand this very well. I have told you these lectures you won't find in the books. If your projectile is a proton, then what will happen? A proton will interact with the protons inside this target material, and proton-proton interaction would be a strong interaction process. If an electron is interacting with the protons inside the target material, then interaction of electron with proton is an electromagnetic process, while if neutrino is interacting with a proton or a neutron, then the interaction is a weak interaction process. Therefore, you can have a strong interaction process, you can have electromagnetic interaction process, you can have weak interaction process. And this one has to understand very well that all these concepts are good, but besides that, this guy, you cannot play with this. See, you cannot play with the target density, you cannot play with the projectile. We are talking about 1000 protons coming per unit area per unit time. We are talking about 1000 electrons per unit area per unit time. We are talking about 1000 neutrinos coming per unit area per unit time. That means the incident particle flux is the same. The target density, we are keeping the same target material. Therefore, NDX is the same. But still what is happening, that the probability of interaction is becoming different if we have a proton beam, if we have an electron beam, if we have a neutrino beam. Okay, and that means I'm talking about proton-proton interaction, I'm talking about electron-proton interaction, I'm talking about neutrino-proton interaction. Okay, this I'm telling you, this is a strong interaction process, this is an electromagnetic interaction process, and this is a weak interaction process. Okay, now the cross section for a strong interaction process is of the order of bars. Okay, one barn is 10 power minus 24 centimeter square. This is of the order of barns. Then electromagnetic interaction process and weak interaction process. Is 10 power minus 40 to 10 power minus 42 centimeter square. Now, what does this mean? That what I'm telling you, that if you have a proton, and inside any target material that you talk about, whether it is a carbon target, a deuterium target, iron target, lead target, always you will find proton inside the target material. Therefore, if you have a proton inside the target material, then that means the nature of the target material is fixed. Only it is the nature of projectile material that is varying. Sometimes it is proton, sometimes it is electron, sometimes it is neutrino. Now, even in case of electron, I may talk about muon, I may talk about tauon. Here I may talk about nu mu, I may talk about nu tau. And similarly here I can take other strongly interacting material. Okay. Now, if I tell you or if I ask you the question, what physically these three different quantities refer to? The answer to that, and this you try to understand. And this is an important concept which generally people don't understand. See, if 1 gram of material contains this much of Avogadro's number, that means 1 kilogram would contain 10 power 26 particles. Is it not? Now that means I have got 1 kilogram of material here. That means roughly I'm becoming very specific. Otherwise, if I talk about H2O and I ask you that what will be this, then you will say that there are, sir, 10 protons upon molecular mass, and then you should multiply it by Avogadro number, then only you can talk about such quantity. But see, these quantities are, I'm not bothering about them, okay? I'm bothering about just these, roughly these Avogadro's number. I'm talking about 1 kilogram of target material. Now, if I have got 100 particles coming per unit area per unit time, 100 particles coming per unit area per unit time, then we say that how many events means the number of scattered, the number of projectiles which we have got, have got scattered, okay, that we talk in terms of events. Now just I'm taking this number 10 power minus 24, okay. Now what does this mean? This means that if you have 10 power 26 particles per centimeter square, or let me just with this, since I have generally in nuclear physics, the mass of the target material is taken to be a very small number. Since in weak interaction we need, that I will tell you why. In weak interaction we need a heavy target material, but if you do any nuclear physics experiment, you need only in a nuclear physics experiment you need only milligram of materials, and that means a very small material of a very small size, or almost a gram of material, and you get sufficient number of events, because this I am. Now what does this means? That if I am talking about, say, 10,000 particles coming per unit area per unit time, and you have the particle density as 10 power 26, then what this 10 power minus 24 would represent? Anybody?
Strong interaction.
No, a strong interaction is there. I'm talking about protons. I'm talking about 10,000 particles coming per unit area per unit time and is tracking this target material. Then what does this 10 power minus 24 centimeter square would represent?
10 to the power 6 particle will interact.
10 power
6
10 power 6 particles.
will interact. Interact.
10 power, but you don't have 10 power 6 particles. You have only 10,000 particles coming per unit area per unit time. That is why I am telling you that in the case of strong interest, and that is why I am rewriting and emphasizing it times and again, that in nuclear physics we take target material of a smaller size. We take target material of what? We take target material of a gram size. That means this will become 10 power 23. And that means 10 power 23 into 10 power minus 24 into 10,000. And that means among 1,000 particles, among 10,000 particles, how many have interacted? Thousands have interacted. Okay, 10,000 particles, they are the particle density, particle flux coming per unit area, per unit time, and you have a target material of weight roughly 1 gram, that corresponds to 10 power 23 particles. Then if you have a strong interaction process, then how many events you are going to get? You are going to get events means what I am talking about. I'm talking about a target material. I'm talking about a projectile. I'm talking about a projectile. One second. People have joined. Okay. This is the target material. And this is the projectile. Okay. Now, projectile means number of particles being incident on the target material per unit area per unit time. Now, what I am telling you, that what type of projectile you are considering in physics becomes very important. If the projectile is a proton, if the projectile is an electron, if the projectile is a neutrino. Okay, projectile is a proton, projectile is an electron, and projectile is a neutrino. Now, for proton, what I am telling you, that proton-proton interaction will always be a strong interaction process. Electron-proton interaction will always be an electromagnetic interaction process, and neutrino-proton interaction will always be if there is neutrino in the beam, the process will always be weak interaction process. Okay, if there is neutrino in the beam, the process is always the weak interaction process. Now this is 10 power minus 24 centimeter square. This is 10 power minus 30 centimeter square roughly, and this is 10 power minus 40 centimeter square. Now just that means, and that is why I am taking a different example. See what I have done. I have a target material where there is only one particle inside this target material, and try to understand this. Now, if the flux is, say, 10 power 10 particles per unit area per unit time. If the flux is 10 power 10 particles per unit area per unit time, then how many times I will have to try to have an interaction with this target material? The answer to that is I will have to try 10 power 14 times. I will have to try 10 power 14 times. Then there exists a chance of the interaction of any one of the projectile material, any one particle of the projectile material with the target particle, the one target particle which is sitting over here. This is something like this. If I have kept a ball here in the room and you are standing over this place and you have, say, 10 power 10 pebbles with you, then what it tells you, literally, it tells you that with these number of pebbles, okay, how many times you have to try? You have to try 10 power 14 times. Okay? That would make one event. One event means the cumulative sum that we are talking about into this particle. Then only you will be able to hit this target material once. And then what I am telling you? I am telling you that instead of one particle, let us put here in this 1 cent. See, always I am talking about an area of 1 centimeter square. In this 1 centimeter square, 10 power 14 particles. In 1 centimeter square, 10 power 14 particles. Okay? In 1 centimeter square, how many particles I am telling you? 10 power 14 particles in the target material of area 1 centimeter square. Then what we will conclude from this point, that you have got 10 power 10 pebbles and you are hitting those, say, these particles. Then what would be the chance of hitting with a pebble of a particle which is present inside this box?
Any one of the particle will hit the.
Yes, only one. Anyone, no. Only there will be only one particle among 10 power 10 pebbles would be able to hit a particle, only a particle, no matter where that particle is, only a particle inside this box. Is it clear or not? लड़कियों में से कोई आवाज नहीं आ रही, सारी लड़कियां चली गई या कोई अटेंड भी कर रही हैं?
यस सर.
हाँ बताइए.
यस सर, क्लियर.
क्लियर, चलिए.
यस.
Now see, The other important point, if I ask you the question that what will happen when I will have an electron as the pebble instead of proton? Then you will say that, sir, now we will have to try how many times? Million times with the same 10 power 10 particles coming per unit area per unit time. Then we will try million times with the same flux of particles to register a single event. Because the electromagnetic interaction cross section is of the order of 10 power minus 30. Okay, electromagnetic interaction cross section is of the order of 10 power minus 30. Therefore, you have projectile as 10 power 10 electrons coming per unit area per unit time. You have 10 power 14 target particles per unit area in this box. Still, how many times you will have to try? You will have to try, keep on trying million times, and then only you would be able to register a single event. तो जो पूछ रहे थे अभी, मुझे मालूम नहीं कौन पूछ रहा था कि इवेंट्स क्या होता है, तो समझ में आई बात कि इवेंट्स क्या चीज है? You want to register the fact that any one of the projectile has hit the target material or not.
सर प्रोजेक्टाइल आपस में इंटरेक्ट करेंगे?
नहीं, प्रोजेक्टाइल आपस में नहीं इंटरेक्ट करेंगे. प्रोजेक्टाइल के आपस में इंटरेक्शन को हम लोग नहीं कंसीडर करते.
ओके
ना, हम लोग सिर्फ इंटरेक्शन प्रोजेक्टाइल का टारगेट से करते हैं. ठीक है
सर, लेकिन प्रैक्टिकली सर होता है सर ऐसा?
नहीं, चूंकि होता असल में यह है ना कि जो बीम ऑफ इंटेंस फ्लो होता है ये सब एक्सेलेरेटर्स के जरिए होता है ना. तो दे आर कंस्ट्रेन्ड टू मूव अलोंग अ पार्टिकुलर डायरेक्शन. Okay, they are forced to move in a particular direction. Rather, you can say that suppose I have applied a magnetic field and then I am moving a charged particle between the magnetic fields, and accelerator is producing so many of particles such that you have 10 power 10 particles. Those are flowing per unit area per unit time. उसको उस तरह से तुम सोच सकते हो जैसे वाटर का फ्लो है ना. तो जो वाटर का फ्लो पाइप से हो रहा है ना, तो दूसरे एंड पे तुमको यू आर गेटिंग वाटर कंटिन्यूअसली. इज इट नॉट? Therefore,
Yes, sir.
the flow of water is not being stopped. Okay, whatever be the inlet, whatever be the water at the inlet side, the same amount of water you get at the outlet. Is it not?
यस सर.
The same thing we are talking about here, the fact here. Okay, so many particles coming per unit area per unit time falling, and if there is vacuum, this will keep on flowing along the z direction. But if you place a target material, then the chances of interaction, the probability of interaction, starts building up. Now that means either I have to try million times with an electron, or the other option is I increase the density of the target material. I increase the density of the target material. instead of 10 power 14 particles per unit area, say I am talking about a target material which has got 10 power 20 particles per unit area. Okay. If I have got a target density of 10 power 20 particles per unit area inside a cubical box, then what will happen? Then I won't have to try 10 power 6 times. Is it not? Then 10 power 20 times 10 power 10 into 10 power minus 30 would able to give me at least one event. The other important catch is that I am deleting this part. I am rewriting 10 power 14. I am rewriting 10 power 6. See, what I am telling you, these number of particles coming per unit area, per unit time, per second. Okay, हम लोग क्या SI units में always we talk about in terms of seconds, per unit area, per unit time. Instead of saying that I have to try 10 power 6 times or million times, what equivalently we can say that let us keep on flowing 10 power 10 electrons per unit area, per unit second, and wait for how much time? And wait for
million seconds.
million seconds. Generally, we have in 24 hours, we have how many seconds? 86,400. Okay, that means for if you wait for more than a day, if you wait for more than a day, then you will be able to, with continuously 10 power 10 electrons are coming per unit area, per unit time, and your target material is 10 power 14 target particles in a unit area of cubical box. Then what I am telling you, that wait for more than a day, you will be able to register single event. That means that if I will wait for 3 days, then I will be able to see how many events? Roughly 2 events. And if I will wait for a year, I will be able to see around say 160, 170 events or 200 events with the same. We are maintaining the flux of the incoming projectile to be the same as 10 power 10 particles per unit area falling per unit time. The density of the target material we are not changing. We have kept it as it is. And just what we are doing, we are waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Is it clear to you or not? Anybody? If you have any question, please ask me.
Sir, does this sigma, which is cross section, does it depend upon the type of interaction only?
Yes, this depends upon the type of the interaction.
Sir, will it be a constant for a particular interaction?
That is why it is a proportionality constant. That means if I am talking about, say, for example, electron-proton scattering at 1 GeV, I have got an electron beam of 1 GeV of energy, and I have a proton target material, then no matter where you are performing this experiment, no matter when you are performing this experiment, always the scattering cross section would be the same. Okay, and that is why this is a proportional. Otherwise, we are calling it as proportionality constant, and then we say that no, today this value will be x, tomorrow will be y, and day after tomorrow it will be z. This cannot be true. Therefore, the important point is, if I have got a proton beam and a proton target of given energy, then with this beam, no matter when and where we perform the experiment, the scattering cross section would always turn out to be the same value. It will give you the same value. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Any other question? Now let me come to an interesting example, and that example I am taking it as of neutrino interaction. And why this example is interesting? See, our sun is producing energy, and why it is producing energy? Why it is producing energy? Because of proton burning. Okay, basic reaction that is taking place is 4 proton fuse to give you an alpha particle, 2 positrons and 2 neutrinos. These positrons immediately interacts with the 2 electrons of the solar environment and gives rise to energy, while neutrino, being weakly interacting particle, it comes out, and these constitutes solar neutrinos. Okay, and we know that what is the luminosity of the sun. Do you know how much is the luminosity of the sun? Anybody? जरा नेट से मुझे चेक करके बताओ. मैं 10^24 वॉट्स वगैरह कुछ था, मैं भूल गया. Luminosity of the sun 10^24 वॉट्स है या कुछ और है?
10^26 watt.
26 watt. Okay, 10^26 watt. That means this much amount of joules per second, and 10^27 MeV means this much of joules. That means roughly 27 times 1.6 is 40. 4 into 10^-12 joules. Okay, that means if the luminosity of the sun is 10^26 joules per second, and in 4 proton burning we are getting 10^27 MeV of energy, then that means how much protons should simultaneously burn to give out this luminosity of the sun? Roughly 10^38 protons. Is it not? Roughly 10^38 protons inside the core of the sun should burn simultaneously to give out an energy which we call by the name luminosity of the sun. Now, we know that if suppose I am talking about sun here and I am drawing a sphere and we are somewhere here, this distance is r. This distance r we call by the name one astronomical unit. Okay, and this is roughly how much? Around 10 power 11 meters. जा चेक कर लेना एक बार, है ना? This is roughly around 10 power 11 meters. That means if I am talking about neutrinos, which are weakly interacting particles, then how much neutrinos are being produced inside the sun would just corresponds to this reaction, as we have 10 power 38 protons burning per second. Furthermore, you know that mass of the sun is roughly 10 power 30 kilogram, and that is equal to 10 power 30 into 10 power 26. That is equal to 10 power 56 protons. And you know 10 power 38 protons are burning per second. And you have 10 power 56 protons inside the sun. That means for how much time these protons will keep on burning? This will keep on burning for 10 power 18 seconds. And what is this 10 power 18 seconds? This is 9 billion years, which we call by the name lifetime of sun. Already sun has spent 4.5 billion years of time, and it has to go for another 4.5 billion years. This is how simply we calculate the lifetime of the sun. अब देखो ये नंबर जो है वो एग्जैक्टली हो सकता है कि तुम जब इसको नेट पे चेक करो मास ऑफ द सन और एस्ट्रोनॉमिकल यूनिट की वैल्यू, ये सब मुझे 4-5 दिन से मेरे घर में मामला सही नहीं था है, तो जिसकी वजह से मैं नंबर्स को नहीं देख पाया. आई एम सॉरी फॉर दैट. लेकिन इसको प्लीज चेक कर लेना, इसको देखना कि जो मैं नंबर बोल रहा हूँ वो नंबर रफली, मैं अपनी याददाश्त से बोल रहा हूँ, तो वो नंबर रफली ये है या नहीं है ना? देन व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू, जस्ट वेट फॉर अ मिनट, आई विल दैट 10 power 38 neutrinos are getting produced inside the sun, and this will be emitted all around. That means if we are here somewhere, that means we are dividing it by the area of a sphere, where the radius of the sphere is 1 astronomical unit. Then that means how many neutrinos we should be receiving? Per unit area, per unit time.
10 power 16.
10 power 16, roughly 10 power 16 neutrinos being received per unit area, per unit time. And that means if I write in terms of centimeter square, then how much will be this? Ten power 4 centimeter square, that means 10 power 12 neutrinos per centimeter square per second. Okay, that means each centimeter square of our earth is receiving 10 power 12 neutrinos, और अगर हम लोग कुछ नहीं बोले तो इतना तो बोल सकते हैं कि more than billions of neutrinos are coming from sun per unit per centimeter square of the surface of the earth per second. And that is why it is said that when you put your thumb before the sun, then 10 power 12 neutrinos is passing through your thumb per unit time. That means in general, in our body, in each centimeter square, 10 power 12 neutrinos are passing through. But why we are not able to register or notice such a large number of neutrinos coming per unit area, per unit time?
Because their cross section is
Their cross section is very low. Their cross section is very
very small.
very
So they don't
yeah. Their 10 power minus 40 centimeter square. Now, let us just talk about that. 10 power minus 40 centimeter square. Okay, that means the projectile which we were talking about, 10 power 10, the target material, say, even I consider say 100 kilogram of target material, 10 power 28, and this much of particles, then still how much time I will have to wait? Hundred second. In 100 kilogram of material, in a centimeter square, see the density. This will be in a centimeter square, 100 kilogram of material in a how much highly dense, and this is not possible in the general environment that you put 100 kilogram of material in a centimeter square. Okay? And that means with such a high flux, even if you are considering an abnormal thing, that you are putting 100 kilogram of material in a 1 centimeter square, then how much time you have to wait? For 100 seconds. And Ray Davis was a scientist who started solar neutrino experiment, measuring neutrinos in the detector. And you know for how many years he performed the experiment? He performed the experiment for about 25 years. For about 25 years, he kept on measuring or trying to measure the solar neutrinos. Now, what was the event rate? The answer to that is sometimes in a week he was able to observe one event, sometimes in 10 days he was able to observe one event, and so on. Okay, but the point was he could not play with sun, solar neutrinos, and that is why he had to wait for a very long time. Now people are, but his detector size was of the order of tons, that is all. But now people are making larger detectors. For example, of 40 kiloton. Kiloton means 50 into 10 power 3 into ton means 10 power 3 into 10 power 26 kilogram. This will be 5 into 10 power 33. This much of target material. Then you can think of some significant interaction. That is why in neutrino physics, people go for very, very large detectors. Similarly, the last point of today's lecture, we talk about atmospheric neutrinos. You know that the Earth's Earth's upper atmosphere constantly is being heated by primary cosmic rays. What are these primary cosmic rays? These are mainly protons and alpha particles. Almost 85% of protons and 14 to 15% of alpha particles. And these protons interacts with our air atmosphere, and this gives rise to pions, kaons, etc. And these pions, kaons, they have got limited lifetime, and they decay to, say, pi plus decay to mu plus plus nu mu, and then mu plus decays to e plus plus nu e plus nu mu bar, or pi minus will decay to mu minus plus nu mu bar, and mu minus will decay to e minus plus nu e bar plus nu mu. And these neutrinos, they constitute atmospheric neutrinos. These are called atmospheric neutrinos. And these atmospheric neutrinos are constantly bombarding the Earth's atmosphere. Okay, and these are coming to us. Primary cosmic rays are bombarding the Earth's atmosphere, giving rise to secondary cosmic rays, and these secondary cosmic rays are giving rise to particles where we have neutrinos, and these neutrinos are called atmospheric neutrinos, and these are being detected on the surface of Earth. Even India is going to build a detector in Tamil Nadu where they plan to measure atmospheric neutrinos with a 50 kiloton of iron target material. But the plan is in pipeline and it is taking time. You know, Professor Kajita got the Nobel Prize of 2015 for the measurement of atmospheric neutrinos and neutrino oscillation, changing one flavor to another. And that was not only the Nobel Prize for the observation of atmospheric neutrinos. The Nobel Prize was awarded to him because, and it was not directly, I will say, awarded for solely Kajita's efforts. It was a group effort of the Super Kamiokande lab. But you cannot award Nobel Prize to a lab. Therefore, you award it to a group leader. And Kajita was group leader at that time. And he also performed this experiment for almost 12 to 14 years continuously to see the atmospheric neutrinos and to observe the atmospheric neutrino oscillation. These atmospheric neutrinos flux, they are much lesser in numbers than the solar neutrino flux. And but with the help of huge detector, now Japan group is trying to build 1 megaton of target material. That means they are going to have, instead of 50, they have now 50 kiloton. They are now building a larger detector of 1 megaton. And that is why this cross-section part and related to event becomes very important. I think you can give some time to think about it. And then, is it possible to continue this class tomorrow at 11?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I will continue this class tomorrow at 11. Anna? Are you finding it interesting or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.